my first question for you is, how did you get into acting? And was it always something you wanted to do?
I had a bit of a division between my head and my heart. So at school, I was quite a brainy kid. I did science and biology, but I also took music. So I had that part of myself, but I couldn't pull myself away from ballet or acting or performance. So when it came to making a decision, I applied to the University of Cape Town for the acting stream. That was my first choice, and my second choice was a BSc in microbiology, specializing in genetics.
Wow.
So I always had this kind of uh, these polar opposites inside of me. And when I was accepted into UCT to study acting, and I knew only 26 people in the country get the opportunity to do something like that, I just saw it as this incredible sign,
Mm.
because I went on such a limb to go out and do that. And, my father, they all think certain things when you're this type of pupil at school. They don't expect you to go that route. But yeah, eventually I always say just that my heart won, and I'm so glad that it did. Um, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no, that's kind of a story that I've had. And it makes me also think of the movie material in terms of going after your dreams, pursuing your dreams, and sort of throwing everything behind it. But to me, like you are a great example of that actually happening and becoming a reality. So good on you. So
thank you. I can't see, but I'm blushing. Okay, I don't
okay,
know if you can.
yeah. Well, speaking of blushing, like, when you're in public and, you've got a face that's recognizable and you've been in a lot of productions that would make you recognizable and in the public eye. And I wanted to find out from you, what's generally the kind of reaction you have when someone sees you in person and goes like the penny drops and they're like, oh, isn't that Tarryn Wyngaard?
It's odd because I don't actually get recognized that often because I am quite a homebody, and I don't put myself in situations. I'm not a big party person. I'm not a big generally I like to be a bit incognito. My friendship group is quite small, but one person at Exclusive Books recognized me for Devil's Peak, and it's just kind of like a bit of a freeze. They look at you, they take a moment to get it together. They're a bit puzzled, and then they will say the production. But yeah, I don't know. I think because I do a lot of different types of characters, my look is actually quite different. I'm blonde and my hair is long and my hair is short. And I try to disappear into my characters. I think it's just because you are very versed on the South African cinematic landscape that you would be able to recognize me. But I avoid Sophie,
Okay.
where
Well, I did recognize you during the Silver Scannum Fierce. I don't know if you remember that happening, but yeah, and I would because I'd just seen you in the movie Gebokste Liefde, which is what we were talking about.
yeah, yeah.
But before we get onto that, I wanted to find out which role are you best known for? And has that altered your acting career in terms of the kind of roles you're getting? Is there anything that people say, I want Tarryn for this because she was like that? Um, I don't know if I'm asking that right.
It's a mixed bag. I think I'm quite known for hardcore dramatic roles. When if there's something that requires, I think, gravitas or real, I don't know, digging for something deep or dark, or I can access that. So I think that is what I would say I'm most known for. Gebokste Liefde was my first kind of romantic comedy, light-hearted,
Mm.
um, warm and fuzzy,
Mm.
a film. But I do see myself more as a dramatic actor with
Well, I
something
think,
chopped.
I mean, maybe they kind of thought of you for that role because there is a little bit of an element that sort of goes a little bit, not sinister, but there's a sort of wild side to Gebokste Liefde. It's warm and fuzzy in places, but it's not warm and fuzzy the whole time. I don't
Yeah,
know if
no,
it's a spoiler,
that's
but people need to
Yes.
expect the unpredictable in this film. It's not like a boy meets girl, etc., etc. It's, you know,
No.
there's stuff.
That's how we package it so
Mm,
that you watch the film, and then when you get in there, you realize that there's,
something else.
yeah, a whole lot else. Yeah.
Mm. And how did you connect with Suma-Lee's character and her emotional journey?
She needs to develop the courage to sit back more comfortably into herself. And the fact that she is kind of at war with herself creates a lot of frustration and stagnation for her. So, yeah, I just enjoyed slowly creating something believable, not in the sense of, you don't have a voice before and now just magically, woohoo, you're superwoman. That wasn't the kind of journey that I was interested in. I was interested in a more like meat and potatoes type of journey for her.
Mm.
Something very tangible, very real. And so it might not always be big and dramatic, her changes, but the result, in my opinion, of where she starts as a woman and where she ends, her arc, I think, is actually quite big and dramatic. But it's the incremental journey to that point. Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't just a rom-com. We've already established that. There's a sports drama genre mix as well. And I wanted to find out from you, obviously it was quite a hectic training regime, I'm guessing, in the
Mm,
preparation for this role, like getting
yes.
ready, boxing fit, that kind of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I had done a little bit of boxing before. I have an Italian friend who is obsessed with boxing, and she actually got me into it. So it was so lovely that this opportunity came along, and I had some skill. And thank goodness I did, because I needed to pull off this amateur boxing match at the end of the film. Hope I'm not giving anything away. But yeah, it was physically draining and challenging for me, but I gave it my best shot. Yeah. I think I pulled it off. I think my stunt double would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the fact that you don't really ever think about the stunt double is already a great sign. But it is a physically demanding role, and I think you did pull
Yes.
it off, and you didn't, you weren't like jacked from the very beginning. It kind of there was a journey there. It wasn't like
Yes.
exactly what you're doing right from the start. I wanted to find out from you, what was like the toughest part of that physical aspect to the role? What was there any memory? Is there a memory that sticks out where you were like, what the hell have I done? Or, why did I do this? Or
I didn't realize the how taxing physical comedy can be on the body. So I realized that there were so many times that I was finding myself on the floor. I had to fall multiple times. I had to roll around in the ocean. I had to take the big knockout punch at the end. I had to get knocked in the face in the beginning of the film. So there were multiple times where I was actually on my and and so yeah, she literally does get knocked down, not only emotionally but physically,
yeah,
numerous times in the film. So I
yeah,
would say it was that.
okay.
Yeah.
I suppose if
After
you've
it takes
seen,
like 26 when you've been falling down for like the past hour or two. It's quite
yeah,
something.
yeah, you need to have a conversation with Zach Braff or Michael Richards about falling down for comedy's sake, because those guys
Okay.
are constantly doing it on Scrubs and Seinfeld. But I also wanted to chat to you about like, I know that South Africa, we don't really have the luxury of lots of preparation time when it comes to um, rehearsing and getting ready for a character and having the time to sort of establish bonds with other actors that way. But I wanted to find out from you, how did you build your on-screen relationships with Jean-Ray LaRue and Megan Oberholzer? It did feel as though there was a lot invested there, and I don't know, I just kind of was curious to know how that all worked.
I think we're all many actors. I think, we're so passionate to be able to tell our own stories these days. And especially a story like Gebokste Liefde, set in my city, Cape Town. Megan and Yandre, I think we just all feel there's already a camaraderie between us. Just the fact that we get to tell the story and do it together, and we love the characters, we love the story, so that makes things sync automatically in a way. But yeah, Yandre, the thing is, when there isn't time to think or be precious about it, you just, and I guess it's the theater training in me. You just go in, and that might even be better. There isn't time to really think about things too much. You get on with the talent, and the connection just happens that way. Yeah.
Okay. And with Suma-Lee, what resonated most deeply with her, and empathizing with this character and getting into it? Like, did you see any parts of yourself in this role?
Yes, her dissociation completely, her dissociation from her anger, her frustration with masculinity, and but then she needs to develop some masculine traits in order to protect herself. So it's her balance between yin and yang, and that being so out of balance, and seeing people around her where their balance is also of yin and yang is also out. Cheryl, for example, she's way too masculine. Yandre's character is maybe a bit too femme. Dries, her ex, is too masculine. So I think she's surrounded, and her boss is maybe too aggressive. She's surrounded by these characters, and she needs to find the way to protect herself, but she doesn't want to do it in the way that she sees it. So I hope that answers the question clearly. But that's what I resonated with, is trying to release the bond of being associated from your anger, your frustration, in a way that suits your temperament as a woman, as the type of woman that she is, which is a very elegant, very designer, she was a cloth fabric woman.
And was there a specific scene that jumps to mind when I say, was demanding or rewarding? Is there something that sticks with you from this film? When you see the poster, is there any scene that you go straight to in your mind and go like, yeah?
I think it was the relationship between Katinka and Suma-Lee. Very interesting to me. And so even though those scenes, there are few of them, I think they're quite refreshing and powerful. So the scene where she's sitting with the dress on her Katinka line, I don't into it, and the scene where I really pushed to try and get some sort of proposal in, even though it's so I asked if I could do that action where she kind of goes down on one knee in the white dress and use the wedding, the kind of it's a marriage of minds, different type of partnership. So I really wanted to have a wedding of sorts in the film, to lean on the romantic comedy themes still, but in a modern way. So those, I think, stick out in my head, and I'm happy that they went for it, that they allowed me to do that, because it can be big. So how the images are too much.
And in terms of that allowing, and how sort of were you able to improvise much? How tight were the reins from the director, Annelies Frost, and in terms of sticking to the script and that kind of thing?
Well, they did trust me. They let me do that. I mean, that wasn't scripted, I mean, the words were scripted, but the visual was entirely, and then how we shot it was entirely my idea in the moment. And they went for it, and I'm glad they did. Sometimes there was another time where I tried to push. I always try to push it. You can also ask Yaku on Poe, if I really feel like something,
Yeah.
because it's screaming out of me that I have to do it. I will push to get it in the frame. Yeah, I do become a bit of I get blinkers on set, you know. I
Yeah.
become a bit like a racehorse, and if you don't rein me in,
All right. So you're a force to be reckoned with. That's a yes.
maybe a pain in the ass.
Okay, well, maybe it goes the pendulum swings one way or the other. But you know what? That's like that's why Werner Herzog, um, Klaus, I can't remember his surname. I want to say Kinski. But having someone that has that kind of energy actually can be such a game changer, because that's really where you're trying to find the magic in a cinematic experience, is in those moments, in those like larger than life uh, things that jump off the screen. And sometimes if it's too bland and it's too like safe, then you don't get there. So, that is actually something that is a huge asset in having in an actor, because uh, if they're just going to sort of behave and just do what they need to do, sometimes that doesn't really get the real result at the end of the day that you're looking for. And finding that little moment, that little kernel in the scene.
I mean, I would imagine that we're all uh, trying to grasp that magical thread, trying to find it every day on set. That's my approach when I'm on set, at least every single second. I'm trying to keep myself open, to where it could be. Um, and now I sound like a maniac, but I do, and for me, the script is kind of there's this, they say there's a script you write, the script you shoot, the script you edit. So I'm in the point, the script that's written is already there, but
Yeah.
I need to find something that's interesting to me about it, something that I love kind of putting my stamp and kind of, splatters of paint all over the script. This, yeah, it's different forms. It's different forms. The script and the living, breathing uh, production machine. To me, that's where I want to infuse the most breath that I can into the character in every single second of every single frame, and so I want it to be saturated. So sometimes I don't care what the I don't care what the script is. I obviously care what the script is. You need a great structure. You need all of that. But I really do try to, and a great script you don't really have to do as much. But yeah, you always try to infuse it with, squeeze as much juice out of it as you can for everybody's enjoyment.
Yeah. Now, sometimes
Yeah.
that's when you're playing, that creativity actually like makes it so much better. And the beauty of shooting the film is like if they don't like what you did, they just don't include it in the film. I mean, so like, you can do another take and there you go.
Exactly. And I have no power after that.
Mm.
When it's cut, when it's a picture up, it's totally out of my hands.
You're
So
giving
I
them
always say,
options.
yes, I always say between there's so much noise and chaos going on around, but between action and between cut, it's like meditation. It's like you just have to take it, because they can tell you, yes, do this, do that. But where's your artistry? Where's your, yes, obviously you have to listen to the director and everything. But you need to follow your intuition as well as
Yeah.
an actor. You know, you need to allow yourself to be open, create that kind of space and energy for the other actors to also tap into. And so maybe to go back to your question about how I created these relationships with Yandre and with Megan, I think it's just because that's how I lead, that's where I lead from. And I think actors who are thirsty, they want to tap into that. That's exciting. So, yeah, I just try to, block out the noise of all the other departments. Because essentially on Gebokste Liefde, that was my department. And I care a lot about it. A lot.
Yeah. can see
So I
that.
fight for it. I fight for it, and even if they are little, everybody's trying to get the best out of the little time that we have on set in their own little department. But yeah,
I mean,
I
that
try to.
kind of that makes you a proper collaborator because you are bringing some of your own ideas and not afraid to sort of speak up and kind of get involved and to sort of really take that script and not just sort of be a professional in terms of just getting the job done, but actually owning it. So that I think is probably what the difference is.
I think by now the um the directors and the writers, the producers, I think they know to expect that from me. I think
Okay.
I've been in this industry long enough that they know, um, if they're going to hire me, they're probably not going to hire a backseat driver.
Yeah. No,
They're
it's
gonna,
good for them to know going ahead, you know.
well,
You
think
would have had a
that's
great
already.
time with Alfred Hitchcock.
You think so? I
Yeah.
thought he was very like,
No, he is.
be-
That's what I'm saying. It would have been
yeah,
like
yeah, no, yeah, he would have. Yeah, I mean,
fireworks.
back then as a woman, I would have had like, very little, yeah, very little power. So thank
Yeah.
heavens I'm not an actress in that day and age. I would have suffered.
But that comes through in Gebokste Liefde. I mean, there is like all the female characters are really strong in that film. Um, and that's very cool to see. And yeah, so I mean, like great vehicle for you.
What do you mean?
I mean, like all of the characters have been written really strong. There isn't like a character in that film, a female character, who is like uh disenfranchised or, all of them have got power and agency. And that's something you actually see quite rarely. I mean, like more so these days, but I'm just saying in terms of all the characters having something. Whereas these days, it's like one or two characters, often are the strong ones, the willful ones, and then the others are kind of like beautiful women or, pretty women in terms of the script or whatever it is. It's just like much flatter.
Yes, no, that's yeah. So you mean there's to make a sports analogy, there's not squad depths in
Yeah,
the
placeholder kind of roles, that are
yeah,
like it was just great to see someone like Jandre, who's like, he's playing this tall, handsome, strapping guy. And
yes,
there's scenes where he's actually like um contending with these super powerful women. And he's just getting like slapped around a bit. And sort of, it's great to see that happening on screen.
maybe it's because Zoe the band producer. Maybe it's because of
Yeah, I'm
her
sure it
role.
is. I mean, also having a writer director team like Annalise and Zoe. I mean, but I thought it was really refreshing and I enjoyed it so much.
Also, there was in the Holy Trinity, they were all women. It was Annalisa Floki, the producer, and Zoe, the writer.
Mm,
So it was an all different generations of women.
mm.
So, and then me, and Megan Hardy, also very good. So I guess generationally as well, that the voices of women were
Yeah,
straight from the top right down.
yeah. No, I got that impression, and I think it was great. And I think saying something like girl power, like actually undermines it because it's so much more important than that. So yeah, I thought it was a great film and very refreshing for that. And it didn't feel like there was this political or aspect, gender political kind of thing happening. It just was a great entertaining film with strong female characters and just get used to it. It was that kind of thing, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. And male characters who develop some self-awareness and wonderful.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, get used to it.
2025.
Yeah, we're in 2025,
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and, super masculine. I mean, it's just a human story, right? It's all kinds of people with all kinds of, whether male, female, whatever, and they, have obstacles and they try to overcome and live in a good society. I mean, that's it, right? And like you say, it's across all the characters.
Mm.
And I mean, that just goes to show what a good guy is really.
So what do you hope that audiences take away from this film?
That a little baby step forward is still a step forward and worthy to celebrate, and that eventually you will get to, the grand finish. Just keep on moving
Keep moving
forward.
forward.
Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Even if it's bit by bit, whether it's taking a meter forward or a millimeter.
Yeah.
That's sometimes a millimeter is actually many, many, many millimeters. Way more powerful than or walking backwards.
There's a big wave surfer. His name's Chris Burtish, and he says small bits of effort over time. Like basically that consistency. It's got a cumulative effect. So that kind of ties into the sort of baby steps. Like take baby steps, but keep taking them, and it adds up. Yeah.
Yes, and ultimately you allow yourself to do that by yourself.
So, if you weren't acting, what sort of is your dream job? I know you spoke about your studies in the beginning.
It would probably be something really, really very analytical, like a maths or science. I, yeah, my brain needs to be stimulated constantly, and I think acting is quite satisfying for that. But I love stories. I love puzzles. Maybe
Mm.
that's why I like acting. I love puzzles and I put things together, figuring things out. So,
And the thing with acting, I mean, and film is that it's many layers. You're creating an illusion. You're creating the illusion of reality, and it's taking so many different disciplines and threading them all together to sort of create this tapestry. So there are
yeah,
so many moving parts, and to try and keep that thing from sort of being found out in a way, like the whole time, where you distract the audience with one little thing, and suddenly they're not on board with this dreamlike state. Um, yeah, so maybe that's why you were drawn to acting, and like you said, it's like a puzzle.
and it is brainy. It's really intellectually challenging, and it's current. It's now, so it's innovative in in its own way, and it requires your body and mind, everything, working with other people. So it's really very the full endeavor.
Mm.
That's very satisfying. And then it lasts, for film, it will last. And
Yeah.
Gebokste Liefde, I hope that in 50 years, kids can find it, they'll watch it, and if they like it,
Mm.
that they'd be like, oh my goodness. Like how some people feel about Sex in the City today. They're just like, how was that made? Like all that time ago. So I really hope that society that we don't regret, that we also do that incredible steps forward.
Mm.
But as wars and you'd never walk through the same river twice. Um, we don't know what the next 50 years will look like, but the films will stay what they are. And it'll be interesting to see in 50 years what books what it means to society then.
Yeah, as a
And
time
also
capsule.
so powerful. Yeah, so powerful.
And before I say goodbye, are there any exciting projects that you'd like to tell us about, that you're allowed to tell us about, that are in the pipeline, or are you sworn to secrecy? Have you signed too many NDAs? What's the story?
Um, No, I mean, yes, in a way, because I do have new management and from the US, and that is a great step in the right direction. And they are sending me the type of high profile projects that, make the hair on my back stand up. I can't believe that, I would be involved in projects like that. But in the meantime, I'm trying to grow self-compassion, and I'm trying to take care of myself so that, yeah, so that in the next 50 years, I'm also okay.
Yes.
Um, and like I said, I really do go in. I've played lots of challenging roles. It's okay. It's okay to take a breath, especially if you're trying to grow career with longevity. I mean, if you're 60 or 50 and you still want to do interesting creative work, saying something that I don't think that'll ever change. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I see you as one of the most talented actors we've got working today, and I'm actually really glad that I got this interview in time before you really blow up, because then I won't be able to ever speak to you again.
Nonsense. I will always I
So,
love
whoa,
South Africa.
whoa, whoa, you're doing this. This is recorded. So if I send you an email now in about 2 or 3 years, I'm
But
expecting a response.
that will not be my fault. That will be the managers being like advising me
Okay.
differently. That's just the thing. It's not like what actors always want to, be involved in the, yeah.
Okay. But at least we got it on
I'm
record
gonna,
now.
I'm gonna edit I didn't finish my sentence. I didn't.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah. No, I think it's bright for you. So well done on your performance in Gebokste Liefde. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's always a pleasure to see you doing your thing. And yeah, let's hope that it all goes well for everyone in South Africa, because our industry needs it as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
It's-
thank you. And continue doing what you're doing, because I think what you're doing is really cool. And you are a voice that is knowledgeable and an authority in this sphere, and we need that too.
Okay. I might have to quote you on that. So
You're welcome.
thank you.